and we're going to talk about Krautrock. And Krautrock is interesting. It's like a lot of genres that is pretty broad. The term's kind of humorous. It's got a lot of influences, and like many genres of music, it started out with the youth of a particular generation in a particular area being dissatisfied and wanting to do their own thing, which I think is really interesting. So, you know, really originated more in or emerged in West Germany. Not saying that East Germany didn't have krautrock, but it really started in West Germany in about the 60s and 70s. And there was cultural developments going on. So there was the 1968 German movement. There was like a revolutionary German movement. I'm not going to go into like a whole thing about that because that could be like an entire podcast in and of itself. But they were, you know, a lot of young people that had political concerns, and they rebelled in a lot of ways. One of the ways they rebelled is that there was a dominant American influence in their music, but it was a lot of like German bands just trying to straight up copy American music, and then also there's a conservative German music called Schlager music. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And they wanted to liberate themselves from that, and also the, you know, if you think about the 1960s, 1970s, it's not that far removed from World War II. So, you know, the memories of a Nazi Germany are still pretty fresh in people's minds. And, you know, a lot of, I think it was Dieter Morbius, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, of the bands Cluster and Harmonia. You know, he was saying that there's a lot of times on the streets, instead of studying, you know, the youth were just hanging out, and that youth was not very proud to be German at the time, which is a crazy sentiment. But that was the sentiment, that they weren't proud, and there was, you know, bad German music. They were tired of listening to it, and it was basically imitations of American music, and something had to happen. And so they started pulling influences from genres like psychedelic rock, avant-garde, electronic music, funk, jazz improvisation, and they made their own genre, which is pretty crazy. And you can actually hear it, and like I was pleasantly surprised playing some of these songs of like a lot of the funk influences. Whenever I thought of krautrock, I just thought of immediately of Kraftwerk. And I like Kraftwerk, there's nothing wrong with them. You know, some of the, you know, pioneering songs that were sampled by hip-hop artists years later. And I think my track ran out. Holy crap, I didn't think I was going to take up this many minutes. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put on another interlude track. Actually, it's going to be the same interlude track. So note to self: take less time when talking, or put on more into it. I didn't think this was going to take longer than 10 minutes, but here we are. So anyway, going back to krautrock. So, you know, a lot of experimentation going on, a lot of psychedelic influences, funk influence, electronic influences, and it also, with the history of that, is that track playing good? Or maybe not. Maybe it's not playing. All right, give me one moment, people. Sorry about that. There we go. The technical difficulties and fun of running a live streaming mix show. Anyway, and if you're listening to this after the fact, sorry about the pauses. So, all these things are going on, and what gets really interesting, and also, krautrock also has another term. It was also known as cosmic music in Germany, which makes a lot of sense due to all the experimentation and the influences from psychedelic rock, etc. So you got all these bands coming out, trying different things, had a lot of different influences, and about 1973, the word Deutschrock, was introduced to describe these bands from West Germany. But then there's a little bit of contention on where the term Krautrock came from. It was either a British disc jockey by the name of John Peel either came up with it, or the UK music newspaper Melody Maker. And what they were saying was that Melody Maker, because they were having a lot of these experimental German bands that they found out, they may have coined the term, but the first real wide-known use of the term was in a full-page advertisement from Popo Music Management and Bacillus Records, promoting German rock in the UK in around 1971. It was covering a concert series, and they used the term Krautrock. And then there was also a UK musical newspaper called the New Musical Express, and it was Ian MacDonald may have been the first one to coin the term. It resulted from an ethnic slur, which is kind of messed up. I've come to find that some of these genres, especially the ones that kind of have a derivative term, come from some crazy messed up origins. And then what happened was West Germany's music press also started using the term. It was, considered pejorative, and, they were rightfully upset. But then as the music was getting more and more well-known and having really good success in Britain, the stigma of the term became less and less as well. So there was less and less stigma, as the genre was more and more successful. So it's also a German phenomenon, but more so a UK phenomenon as well. So that's a weird relationship there. And what really makes up Krautrock, it's really hard to say. I was going through my research, and the best description, I think, that summarizes everything that I've been playing, everything I'm gonna play for the second half of the show, everything I've heard, is that. And I think this is from Shindig magazine. There was a magazine called Shindig, and they summarized it. And I think this is the best way to summarize it. Avant-garde musical collages of electronic sounds, rock music, and psychedelia, which really feature a lot of hypnotic improvisation and minimalistic rhythms. And I think that's a perfect description of what Krautrock really is.